What's up, everyone? Welcome to Pat's Chat. I'm Doug Kyed, joined as always by Michael Hurley. Michael, how are we doing
We
this
should do a
evening?
we should do a more coordinated, like, I'm Doug Kyed, and I'm Michael Hurley. Just to
Next time. We'll get that going in like 6 months sometime in
Yes,
the next
I
6 months.
solved a great mystery of life this weekend. I'm a little nasally, I'm sure it's kind of annoying, but if we did this yesterday, it would've been a real problem because I was down and out. But you ever, like, go to the bathroom and there's no tissue, so you just grab some toilet paper to blow your nose? And then
Yeah.
you ever have the deep pondering, like, "Am I screwing myself? Am I robbing myself in this equation? Like, is this a more
Oh, right.
like, what's more valuable?" So I Googled it, and, Google does the AI answers,
Yeah,
and it's actually cheaper to blow your nose in toilet paper, I guess,
I would assume so.
generally speaking.
Yeah.
So, I made some money yesterday when I blew my nose into that toilet paper.
Wow, that is big.
So we're going big baller for this one with the Puffs Plus. So,
Wow.
just, if you've ever wondered it, now you know, cheaper to go with the roll instead of the box.
Do we know what's cheaper between paper towels and toilet paper?
I'm guessing it depends on your square size because
Yeah.
sometimes you get those nice thin ones, and then other times you get a roll and they're just like 2 or 2.5 times the normal piece, and
Yeah,
then
you
it's
can't
just like
have it. Yeah.
you could rip it yourself like a custom peel, but that's too complicated. So unclear. But either way, I'm just here to help out as many people as I can and make you some money.
People are learning, people are making money. We're off to a good start here. The Patriots have not done a ton in the last week or so, but Jeremy Springer's back, special teams coordinator. I think
Yep.
that was probably the smart move to just bring him on back.
I mean, it's the only unit that had a representative in the Pro Bowl.
It's
In
true.
Brandon Schooler. I don't think there were many major issues with they had maybe a kickoff or two come up short of the landing area, which is a rule I refuse to learn. So I don't even know if that's a
Or
big.
acknowledge.
Yeah, how did you feel like the kickoff whole thing? I still just it happens and then whatever happens happens. I don't concern myself with it, which is a really
No.
disturbing development.
I think that people had these like grand schemes of like what it would look like. And I remember Jalen Rager back in the summer was like, this could be awesome. I am made for this. And then he was cut like 6 weeks later. But also it didn't really seem to be made for anyone.
Yes.
It seemed like there was less injuries, which is good, but that shouldn't be like, I don't know. I mean, obviously you can't like limit injuries completely. And if you're limiting entertainment, you might as well just eliminate it altogether. But no, I had no extremely strong feelings about it. I wouldn't say I was ever excited for a kickoff.
Right. I thought it might generate more kick returns for touchdowns because you kind of only need to break one
Yeah.
block, like maybe just one block is all
One
you need.
level. Just
But I honestly didn't check the stats, but I don't feel league wide there was an increase. Anyways, Jeremy Springer did a good job navigating that stupid rule change. I don't know, sure, fine. They did lose my guy, the offensive line coach, who he went to the Bengals,
Scott
Scott
Peters.
Peters.
Yep.
Let's just hope the Bengals don't face any stunts next year because we know what's going to happen. Poor Joe Burrow. Like Joe Burrow doesn't need that in his life. That's a tough. I don't know. It was definitely personnel more than the coaching here, but he definitely didn't stand out in a positive way last year in terms of just what the unit looked like. So I don't see that as a great loss for the Patriots.
I was a little surprised. I think that Scott Peters was trying to make lemonade out of lemons. And overall, honestly, given the pieces that he had, probably did a better job than he should have. Like, at least there was some protection, which when you had Demontre Jacobs, who was a waiver wire guy, you had Ben Brown, who was signed off a practice squad, you had Layden Robinson, um, I obviously had Michael Wenu in there, Vidarian Lowe, who's like clearly not a starter. Like 4 out of 5 guys probably shouldn't have been starting, and maybe half of those guys should have been on practice squads. So just like any protection at all
Yeah.
was better than maybe expected. At the same
Uh,
time, though, if you had asked me a week ago, is Scott Peters going to be an offensive line coach or an assistant offensive line coach somewhere? I probably would have guessed assistant offensive line coach just
right.
because like his first year as a offensive line coach was the Patriots last year. And I just couldn't have imagined a team looking at the Patriots offensive line last year and saying, We need that in 2025. But the
We
Bengals, he'll have better players. We'll see how it goes.
need that guy. We got to get that guy. Hey, boss, we got to get that guy.
Not only that guy, but also they got like the Patriots offensive assistant, Michael McCarthy, to be their assistant offensive line coach.
Yeah.
So they said, we want everything that happened last year with the Patriots on the offensive line.
I think they should hire Matt Patricia because he did a good job in that role before him, so they could get another one in there. But I think Scott Peters' impact, his lasting legacy, will be he rushed along he brought the Drake May era to us earlier because there was no way they could keep rolling Jacoby Brissett out there behind that line, and thus we got Drake May earlier than anticipated, and Drake May helped cover up a whole lot of the problems of the offensive line. So thank you, Scott Peters. It was much more fun to watch Drake May lose against the Texans than it was to watch Jacoby Brissett lose against the Texans. So not all bad. There was positives.
100%.
There were positives. English.
Yes, there were positives. Grammar is important.
Yes.
You taught people how to make money. Now you're teaching people how to speak, how to write. It's a valuable podcast that we got going right here.
I'm going to do another sidetrack real quick.
Hell yeah.
Because this is important. And it's not the most newsy week. So I'm going to butt in. Have you noticed, and this is an epidemic
over here.
It's an epidemic on the internet. People aren't writing the past tense of verbs. They're not doing the D or the ED after verbs. On Instagram, on Twitter, you'll see so many posts where it's just, I think the most obvious one is text. Like he texted me instead of texted. That's somehow become the word. But like there's so many past tense verbs that are not properly being written out, and I don't know where that's going. I don't know how it started, but we got to get on that as a people. We need to for tense is important too. Just keep an eye out. You'll notice it now more than you ever did before.
All right. I'll keep an eye out. I'll see what's going on there. Seems like language is changing. We might be dinosaurs for writing and doing all those things the old school way, but who knows? That was a good sidetrack. Valuable sidetrack.
I just wanted to raise awareness and just help out when you see it. Say, hey partner, you said I lift up this box yesterday. It's lifted. Just help out.
Yeah. There we go. So the Patriots can make an offensive coordinator hire whenever. They have what's the right word here? Satisfied the Rooney Rule with Thomas Brown and Marcus Brady by interviewing them. See where that goes. I think we've talked about the offensive line situation a decent amount, but Josh McDaniels still a possibility, it seems. We broke news. It was breaking last time that Tommy Rees was off the table.
That's true.
It seems like Josh McCown, I think it's been reported, is not going to leave the Vikings for anything other than a head coaching job, which is bold. He's basically third in command of the offense right now as the quarterback's coach behind Kevin O'Connell and their offensive coordinator. But I think that he sees the writing on the wall that like, hey, some team might just hire me as a head coach. Why would I go be an offensive coordinator before I could be a head coach?
That's good cover, though. If you're third in command, you kind of reap in the benefits, and everyone's like, he's doing a great job, and no one actually knows. So,
it's the place to be if you're with the Browns being third in command, because you're not going to get fired for failing the offense.
You do not want to be second in command in Cleveland. I'm just thinking because obviously Ben Johnson's going to Chicago, so there's a pretty high-profile offensive coordinator position. I feel as though, and this is just a observational feeling, that Josh McDaniels doesn't seem like a priority for Vrabel, but maybe a backup plan.
Oh, interesting. Just because he hasn't been hired yet.
Yeah, and the Patriots have not, been concerned about.
Hasn't even been reported he's been interviewed.
Right, and they have not been concerned about doing what we all think they're going to do when it came to Vrabel. They just did it. And so there wouldn't be a reason to pause it. So I don't know. Do you think they run the risk of McDaniels coaching somewhere else? Is that because that's kind of important?
I don't think so. I mean, has he been tied to any other job? He hasn't got another interview request, I don't think, at least not reported.
Nope.
Granted, there's all the teams that have yet to hire their head coaches where he could presumably join there as an offensive coordinator. But we also know that he lives locally. He's still getting paid by the Raiders. So like the opportunity basically has to be perfect for him to take it.
Right. And we know, the person that believes in him more than anyone in this world is Tom Brady, but I don't think he can convince the Raiders to go ahead and bring him in. So they should because they're paying
Be a
him,
tough
but I
sell.
don't.
It would be
Uh,
yeah, true. You might as well. You're already paying the guy.
yeah, I don't
Come
know how
on
that
back.
works contractually, but
So I think it was Mike Reese who put it out there that perhaps Vrabel could take from the Rams coaching tree for this OC hire. And the options there would be Michael Fleur, who's their offense coordinator, Dave Ragone, who's the quarterback's coach, and Nick Caley, who's the tight ends coach slash pass game coordinator. So I will pose this to you once again. Would you rather have Josh McDaniels or would you rather have one of those three guys?
I mean, I'm intrigued by the McVay impact. I like a modern offense. I think that's my biggest concern with
Mm-hmm.
Josh McDaniels. I mentioned on this podcast that it was a very complicated offense that he ran, and not everyone could get it. And I think the faster you can be, and the easier you can be to learn, and the more complex you can be, then I think the better off you are. Now, I don't hate the idea of Josh McDaniels, but maybe I'm getting suckered in by just the aura of McVay, and not all those guys work out. But um, I kind of lean towards someone from a different system. I just think it's not anyone's fault. We're
Mm-hmm.
victim. We do it too. Everyone's kind of doing it. There are people out there who didn't used to work or play for the Patriots that can do things as well.
It is true.
I just feel like it's
It
important
is
to
a
remember
fact.
that. Yes, there's just a lot of people out there, and it's just like I don't dislike the Vrabel hiring in and of itself, but it's also like there are other people in the world than former Patriots. So I am open to the idea of a new mind and a new philosophy. And based on Vrabel's press conference, it feels like he's not going to be passive in that endeavor
Mm-hmm.
just because he's a defensive guy. He seemed to have a
Right.
lot of offensive thoughts that he put forth and demands
Yep.
that he hopes going forward. So I think it's more likely that he goes with someone with the potential to grow into the role than someone like McDaniels.
I think I would still say that like someone like let's say LaFleur or Ragone, like LaFleur's tough because he was the Jets offensive coordinator under Saleh and got fired. So like if you're talking ceiling and floor, which we love to do
Yeah.
when it comes to offensive coordinators, his floor is much lower than Josh McDaniels, I would say. But still coming from McVay and coming from that system and seeing what his brother has done, all those different things, still the ceiling might be a little bit higher with Drake May. And like you said, might be a little bit easier to grasp his offense for guys. I will say though, 2021, we bring this up a lot. 2021, blah, 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 blah. 2021, under Josh McDaniels, the Patriots were sixth in scoring. Mac Jones had no problem grasping the offense. Talk about Kendrick Bourne had no problem. He had 800 yards. Hunter Henry had 600 yards. He
Ton
had
of
no
new
problem.
guys.
Nelson Aguilar, another new guy, had 470 yards. Johnny Smith didn't do quite as well. Obviously, there was a lot of issues with rookie wide receivers throughout the years, but Jacoby Myers had no problem learning the offense when he was a rookie. So, like, there were a lot of new guys in 2021 who did still thrive. Seemed like they were probably able to still execute a solid offense while also simplifying things. Because I think the biggest problem was that it was McDaniels and Brady. And you also had Gronk and Welker and Edelman and all these guys throughout the years who would learn the offense and would just keep expanding and growing and growing and growing. And then as new guys joined, it became more difficult. It does seem like when Brady left, they were able to simplify things a little bit and still be high powered enough. So
Yeah.
I struggle a little bit with. I think that LaFleur would be good. I think that he's got a high ceiling, but we know what the floor is. Guy like Ragone, Haley. I don't know. It's a lot. It's a lot to do. It's a lot to handle as a first-time offense coordinator, calling plays, doing all those different things. When, like we're talking about with McCown, like those guys are third, fourth in command of the offense, below McVay and LaFleur. But I do still, I in my job as a Patriots beat reporter, I kind of just want things to be the most exciting, the most
Yeah.
interesting. And McDaniels coming back just simply isn't the most entertaining or interesting, even though it probably is, at least as far as like safety goes, might be what's best for the team.
Yeah, and best case scenario, if you lay it out, he's 48 years old. I just Googled it. I didn't know that off the top of my head. I'm not a weirdo. theoretically, like let's say the Mike Vrabel hiring is a home run and works out, McDaniels could be right next to him for a long time if things are
100%.
going
Right.
well.
Yes. Absolutely.
For
Yes.
Drake May's career, you could
Yes.
have a guy that is attached to him, whereas those other guys are obviously people that will want to rise up, and if they
Right.
do well, they'll get head coaching opportunities in 5 seconds,
Yeah.
and they'll have the whole league after him, like Ben Johnson, who had a wide
Mhm.
receiver throw the most important pass of the season in the playoff game. So I think I don't dislike the idea of McDaniels, but I think you're right. What if he had a whole new swagger? He was like badass Josh McDaniels, like sort of
Came
like
with
a
like
Kid Rock,
he had like a leather jacket, maybe a denim
mohawk, like
vest.
jewelry. Just be like, sup, Josh McDaniels,
What if he's Joshua McDaniels and goes like glasses, goes the other way.
J
Doesn't go
McD. I don't know.
badass.
That's
Goes
true.
like
I don't
I'm an
know.
analytics nerd. I'm Joshua McDaniels now.
He's got options, but I think that is the best appeal for him. And plus, he was a young up and coming coach when Vrabel was here. Didn't McDaniels
Yeah,
work on defense his first year? He was a defensive assistant, I want to say.
it's
I'd look it up,
possible.
but my computer might kick me off the internet, so I won't do that. But they're the same age, and I don't think there'd be, for as much as it looked at one time, like the Crafts looked at McDaniels as their future head coach, I don't think Vrabel would be looking over his shoulder at a
No,
potential
no.
mutiny or anything. So it could be a right choice. I know I'm kind of wishy washy on it, but sometimes there's not a right and wrong. There's just
I
appeals to both.
agree. Yeah, can't always be fully decisive on these things, and I kind of agree with you. It's like it really is what you prefer, and I think that I would still go with the higher ceiling option because it's more interesting and more exciting. But there's a lot of issues that come with that, which we've talked about extensively of guys leaving. And you were right. Josh McDaniels was a defensive assistant in 2002 and
Yeah.
2003, and then became the quarterbacks coach in 2004.
Who
So,
was the quarterback back then? Was it a big deal? Like, was it an important player for the franchise?
it was, I have to think. I
David
think he was
Freeze,
like a
I think.
late round pick a few years
Yeah.
earlier.
Noodle arm.
Yeah, noodle arm,
But
kind of a
I would say
cerebral
this: when
guy.
you talk about ceilings and whatnot, you have right now Cliff Kingsbury, who's probably overqualified for an OC job, and you can see where it can take a rookie quarterback and an offense being led by a
For
rookie. Like
sure.
when the ceiling's high with your OC, you can do great things. So I feel you on that. I don't know that Mike LaFleur is going to be a Cliff Kingsbury type of offensive mind, but I don't know.
Right.
Maybe hear me out. Mental exercise with me.
Mhm.
Do you agree that Cliff Kingsbury is probably a highly, perhaps overqualified offensive coordinator with all of his head coaching experience in college and the
I
NFL?
mean, yeah, yes.
Not that he was a great NFL head
Not
coach.
not that he should have gotten a head coaching job right away after getting fired, but
Yeah.
yes, I would agree with that.
He is not long for that role. Someone will hire him as a
Right.
head coach again.
Yeah.
Theoretically, Josh McDaniels could be in a similar boat as a
Yeah. Yeah.
overqualified OC. Like,
Yep. I'm with
not a
you on
good
that.
head coach. I think
Right.
we all agree. Denver
Yeah.
and Vegas will tell you that, but probably as good of an OC as there's been for a long time now. Does it translate when Brady's not there? I know there's limited experience. I don't know. It's if they hire McDaniels, I won't say, "Oh, that's dumb." How about that?
Right. I think that's fair.
Do we get to the biggest story in Patriots history now?
Yeah. Break it out. Break it down.
This is the biggest story that's ever happened to the Patriots. It's
I
all
can't wait
over
to
the
hear what it
internet.
is.
Robin Glazer or
Oh,
Glazer.
right.
Nobody quite knows. I think it's Glazer, but you hear Glazer a lot.
Yeah.
No longer going to be with the team. And Doug, that is massive. Can we
Yes. Yeah.
like you've covered the team more intensely than I have. I learned of her sort of existence and role during Deflategate when it was the Wells report in context. There were the
Right.
emails back and forth with the team. I think it
But I think
started
you
with
were in the minority of actually registering that back in the day.
right because I think Stacy might have emailed. Like these emails were published on the Wells report in context. So Stacy James, the PR, I don't know, I should probably know, president,
VP.
emailed the league asking them to correct public, false reporting after the numbers were in. And the league was just like, no. And then it went to Robin Glazer, who sent these emails. They were awesome. I wish that website was still up. Maybe it still is. Great emails. And the league was just like, oh, precious you. No. But that's like the only experience I had understanding who she was until the dynasty, obviously, when she played a prominent role. Were we missing something in terms of her role with the Patriots? Because it became a big deal over the past 12 months.
No, I think that she did a lot of good for the organization over her, whatever it was, like 17 years or whatever it was. I think that she did a lot of good in the Bill Belichick era. She was obviously very behind the scenes, like so behind the scenes that Bill didn't start mentioning her name until he was out. You know what I mean?
Last week.
He never mentioned Robin Glazer in the 15 years that they were working together or whatever it was. So like clearly it seems like he's got some sort of bone to pick with her now since he talks about her so much. She did take on a bigger football role in 2024. I think that was just because of her connection with Gerard Mayo. I think that was Mayo who put her in that bigger role, advisor to the head coach. But I also think that role got scaled back pretty early in the season, early in the offseason, whatever it was. I don't know the exact timeline. So it seems like for most of last year, she was just kind of doing what she had done for 16 years in the organization. But now she's gone. I think that a lot of Patriots fans feel very strongly about her, but I don't know if they know why they feel strongly about her.
I would guess it has to do, I mean, there's obviously a large segment, or at least a vocal segment, that disagrees with the way Bill Belichick was ousted from the organization.
For sure.
And they see her as a key trigger point in that
Right.
activation of sequence of events. Do we know exactly what role Robin Glazer played in Bill
I think it's
Belichick
a lot
being
safer
fired?
to aim higher in the organization than Robin Glazer.
Right. I feel as though that is a Robert Kraft decision and a Robert Kraft decision only when you get rid of either the greatest quarterback of all time or the greatest coach of all time. That lays at the foot of the owner. So I think she just kind of became associated with this weird year. Like, I don't know. It was a weird thing with like Jonathan missing the Mayo press conference. Like, he became like meme subject last year. Like, thank God AI images weren't where they were a year ago for his sake, because he would have been showing up in those. I saw an AI of Aaron Judge as the quarterback of the Ravens yesterday, and it looked like a very believable photo. So they've come a long way with those. So I don't know. It's been the weirdest thing, and even the ending was, I don't know, like the fact that it's celebrated online is just, it's one of the stranger things I've seen.
It is pretty bizarre, but yep, she's leaving. She'll have to be replaced. I don't think that whoever she's replaced by will even like be news, because
it's like
the role that she had within the organization. It was like
contract writing and
it
whatnot.
was like dealing with a league and league issues and
like a general counsel almost, right?
Right. Yeah.
That's weird. It was a weird thing. I don't know. I don't know why she couldn't continue in the role she previously did, or if there was a problem there. But
I think that my guess is that it probably was the scaled back nature of what happened. Like once you have a bigger role, then that role gets smaller. You're probably like, all right, well, I've done enough here. You know what I mean?
I guess so.
That'll be my guess.
I don't know. It's just, I'm glad we covered that, because now the top story has
now the biggest news of the year is just it's out of the way.
We had to tease it a little. People are like, when are they going to talk about it?
When are they going to talk about Glazer? No, I'm with you on that. There was some other coaching stuff that's happened since we last spoke. Mike Reese reported that tight ends coach Bob Bicknell, running backs coach Taylor Embry, wide receivers coach Tyler Hughes, and assistant wide receivers coach Tyquan Underwood are all moving on. Also, Joe Kim is leaving. He was their kind of pass rush specialist guy. I think they will miss him, even though their pass rush was bad last year. And then he also reported on Sunday that Vrabel is going to be bringing in John Streicher, perhaps as like a game day football decisions type of guy. And then also strength and conditioning coach Frank Pirano is expected to come in as well. None of these are headline huge moves, but staff is filling out, staff is leaving. We got a lot of stuff going on here.
Frank Pereno. My family, my grandmother's maiden name was Pereno, so perhaps
Oh,
we are related. I'll have to write him an email and say, "Give me your family tree, bro." And Francis, well, that was a different side of the family, but it could be. I'm gonna find out. We could be related, and then perhaps he'd be a third man in on Pat's chat. He could get us in shape. I know you go to the gym, but
I do. Yeah.
not
Well, I'm
quite
trying to
like
get
that.
bigger than Vrabel, so
Good
we'll see
luck.
how it goes. Yeah,
Drink
it's a
milk.
lot of work to be done. But
I have
yeah,
no
I don't
takes.
know.
I have no takes there. Like we talked about it I asked you probably a week ago if a lot of assistants would be moving on, and I think we both agreed yes, likely. So there you go.
Right. Yeah. Um, yeah, there's still there's some things to be worked out here. A lot of the defensive coaches, we don't know what's going to be going on with those guys. Clearly, they need a DC before we find out. We don't know what's going on with Alex Van Pelt. We don't know what's going on with TC McCartney, Ben McAdoo, Evan
Now,
Rothstein. So
Demarcus
yeah,
Covington did interview Cincinnati, I think, right?
yes,
So the fact that he's
yes,
interviewing, there's been no official announcement on him or Van Pelt, but it seems as though it's understood. Neither will be back in their roles they served last year, it seems.
does seem that way. Yeah, I'm sure that Alex Van Pelt will get some sort of job fairly quickly, whether that's as a quarterbacks coach or offensive coordinator. Like, he kind of seems like the perfect guy to be the offensive coordinator under a head coach who calls plays, like
Yeah.
similar to the one they had last year with the Browns, even though he got somehow blamed for their failings. Not Kevin Stefanski, but it is what it is.
Yeah, that organization. They've got their poop together.
They really do have their poop together.
Yes.
Um,
That's their slogan. If they put it at midfield next to that elf thing. What cool team.
that's what the Brown is for, is that they've got their poop together.
Yes. We should probably do, I mean, the biggest story over the weekend is everyone mad about the referees and Patrick Mahomes and the fact that the Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl again. So should we just do it now? Like, congrats to the Chiefs. Back to back to back is hard to do. And they've done it. Like, it's happening. So congrats to them.
It is interesting. So with the playoffs left, I think that most Patriots fans would agree that Bills Commanders would be the ideal choice, right?
The most painless.
Yeah.
I think there's got to be like, you're going to run out of these moments if the Chiefs win, where you can defend the wall or whatever. Because back to back to back is something the Patriots never did, despite the fact that they won 3 or 4 twice. The fact that they went to 3 in a row in 16, 17, 18, 3 in a row, something. And I don't know. It was definitely, I don't want to say typical, but there was no surprise by either of the controversial flags. I thought the worst aspect of it was, well, Walt Anderson coming on NFL Network and be like, actually, we're right. Everyone's stupid. Shut up. And then I don't want to like call them out specifically, but I think it was Colleen Wolfe and Steve Mariucci who were like, oh, thanks, Walt. You're the best. You really explained how dumb we all are. That was bad. But then you tune into the game last night. I just spat all over my screen. And Lamar Jackson is tackled on the bench and they don't call a late hit. And I think it was what was the game on last night? CBS. So was that Sterator? I'm getting my official guys confused. It was like, oh well, the tackle, he started grabbing his shirt inbound, so you're allowed to finish it. It's like, not there.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to finish it past where the players are standing.
Yeah.
So it
was bad. Like the first one, at least from one angle, looked like it was helmet to helmet.
From
even
behind.
Though
yeah,
it probably wasn't. Like, maybe there was some context. The first one, I was kind of like, everyone's making a huge deal about this. It kind of looks bad from at least one angle. The second one, like, Mahomes was barely even contacted. Like, the defenders hit themselves and he was in the middle of it.
And because they hit each other,
like his slides,
he does it so late, and
he does it, but it's obviously it works. Like, it's intentional. Like, good for him for figuring that out. But it makes for a bad product.
It's a manipulation of the QB protection rules, and he does it near the sidelines when he fakes going out, and everyone lets up, and then he scampers down, and everyone's like, "Oh, keeps going, God, Patrick Mahomes, unbelievable!" So it's going to be tough. Now, he is going up against the NFL's biggest flop artist in Josh Allen next week. So, I mean, this could be like Rembrandt versus Picasso in front of us. But I don't know. It was like that. I felt like the pass interference on Tre'Davious White last night was one of the most ridiculous calls of the weekend as well.
Yeah.
And I hate that we have to sort of raise an eyebrow to the officiating, but when it's when it was the receiver pushing the corner down and tripping on him and they call it on the corner, it's just like, man, what? Like, I just wish we had better calls that we didn't have to sit and throw fruit at them, because like it's easier to say, well, the Ravens lost because they gave the ball to Derrick Henry 16 times and Lamar turned it over twice unnecessarily. But there's other factors that, well, and Mark Andrews might have had two of the biggest drops of his life.
That's
but I don't know. I hate it.
Obviously, I guess we kind of know the answer to that because of how Patriots fans feel about Wes Welker, but like that's tough to get past as a Ravens fan to see Mark Andrews do that, right? Like that drop at the end was it the greatest throw from Jackson? No, but like hit him in the breadbasket. Like it's should have caught it.
It's funny because I've been the Brady pass was fine guy for 14 years now, 13 years, because it was, he had a turn for it. But you see receivers make that catch every weekend across the league in like the first quarter against the Rams. Someone will have a spinning catch up like that. And you're like, it's an NFL catch. This was much easier. And so I joked with a friend, like, bad pass by Jackson. Turns out a lot of people had that actual take, like, bad pass. And it's like, no. I think what got him tripped up was he was making sure his feet were getting in bounds, and the pylon was nearby, and it's just like everyone's had a brain squeeze where you mess up.
Have we talked on this podcast how I think it's Jerry Rice says that like receivers catch the ball incorrectly?
We have not.
So you think you catch the ball like this, right? Like palms up,
make a diamond.
That's how you catch it. If you watch Jerry Rice, almost every catch he makes is like this. He throws his arms up and catches the ball. Like only if it's like a contested catch above his head does he go like this. Every other catch is like this. And I've watched some interview with him. I forgot how long ago it was, but like he's like, guys catch the ball wrong. Like this allows you to catch it so much better than this does. This just hits off your palms. There's so much more room for error for yourself.
It's like if there was a fire and someone like tossed the baby out and you had to catch the baby.
Yeah, you wouldn't go like this.
You'd cradle it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. This is my mission next year to ask whoever the Patriots wide receivers coach is to be like, how do you teach your wide receivers to catch the ball? And then if he says like this, I'm going to say, so you think Jerry Rice is wrong? So Jerry Rice did it wrong. I don't know. I mean,
what does he know about?
Do we have the Jerry Rice drop numbers? No, because it wasn't during the PFF era.
Plus, as we know, he was a big Stickum guy. He admitted to. So cheater.
True. Maybe you need Stickum for the palms up or the palms down, whatever it is. I
don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah,
it's interesting. Either way, that one was underhand. Like
that was one that Jerry Rice would have like caught it that way. I think. I don't think he would have been going like this. Obviously,
I agree. Jerry Rice would have caught that. I think the Ravens would be playing for the Super Bowl, or at least have been playing for overtime last night. So that was a bummer. Lamar, outside of that final drive, stunk, and the whole national media made a point to tell us that he didn't, and that you can't blame him. I mean, playoff Lamar is a thing.
It is. Yeah, like.
I guess
it's pretty wild that he hasn't. Obviously, he's going up against Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
So that makes it more difficult, but it is pretty wild that he hasn't played in a Super Bowl yet.
And for whatever reason, his offensive coordinator / head coach didn't use their best player as much as they should have. And like it was the Justice Hill game. It's like Derrick Henry's right there. There was a drive. I think there was maybe 4 or 5 plays where Henry started the drive on the sideline. He came in, broke off a 12-yard run, and then immediately back to the sideline for the rest of the drive. And it's like, he's really hard to tackle.
He's got like an extra gear this year. It's crazy.
Bills defenders kept getting hurt. Like there was opportunity for him to win the game, and they just didn't go there. It was very bizarre. So I don't know. I found myself rooting for Buffalo as the game went on, just because of how dumb the Ravens were.
It is interesting because, like, obviously Patriots fans should hate the Bills, but like, there's not a lot of like history there in order to hate them, you know?
Yeah, like they moon the team when they drive by on the bus, but other than that, I don't know. They did throw a dildo on the field twice, which is just over the line. You don't do that. That's uncalled for. Just
Well,
uncouth.
their fans did. I don't recall Josh Allen doing that.
Can you prove he didn't though?
It's true.
Um,
He could
their
throw
head
it that
coach,
far.
their head coach, I do have an issue with because he's a big Al Qaeda guy, and I'm just not. I refuse
No,
to
I'm
give
not
them
either.
credit.
I'm gonna go
So
out on a limb.
that's a big hang up. But you're right, and I think there is something about like the Bills are the Red Sox of
Right.
the NFL. Like,
Yeah.
hello, like there's the history there, there's the pain, there's the get him
Yeah.
next year.
Yeah. If you're a Patriots fan, like, do you want the Chiefs to win 3 straight and have Patrick Mahomes already have 4 Super Bowl titles? Or do you want your division rivals to win? Like, the better case scenario for you is definitely the Bills.
Do you know what happened to me for the first time too this weekend? And we have never complained about it because who cares? I think we liked it because it pissed people off. I was actually bothered by all the Taylor Swift shots this weekend.
Really?
Because Travis Kelsey was just so wide open on that one big play. And they showed her like going crazy, and I was like, relax. And then he scored the touchdown and they cut her again. And it was kind of like, enough.
Wow.
I don't know. I reached my
Wow.
breaking point with Miss Swift.
I had promised my daughter that they were gonna show her. So there was like an element every time they showed her, be like, "Oh, look. But beyond that, yeah.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. I reached my breaking point, but we'll see next week. I think that's
Is it because
that's
you're a
gonna be
Caitlin Clark hater? Is that the issue here?
you
You hate
know
women's sports?
I prefer all the other WNBA players. I like that they bully her and keep her down because they were thriving without her, and now she's ruining it.
It's true.
Selling out huge NBA arenas. It's
How
just
dare she?
yeah. But yeah, I don't know. And then the
I
Philly
have a
game. Go ahead.
I was gonna have you been following today the Tom Brady didn't mention Ben Johnson's name once during the game storyline?
So I only I only knowed that. Speaking of past tense
How's you?
verbs,
How's that for past tense?
I'm adding ed to all past tense verb. I only knowed that because I think it was Tom Pelissero said that play was so good. Tom Brady might mention Ben Johnson's name, which was funny. So I didn't notice. I did hear him vaguely talk about like up and coming coaches and how they could be beneficial for the league. But that is, I mean, and that was probably Brady's best game because I can't recall a color guy being that on top of a 12 men on the field at like a critical
Right.
juncture, which
Yeah.
is exactly what you want Tom Brady in the
Right.
booth for.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking about that play and like the Commanders didn't get the snap off. Like it was a delay game. And I was like,
Mhm.
well, it's not really fair because if the quarterback stands in and tries to read the defense and there's an
Right.
extra guy there, like that, you can't punish
Yeah.
the offense for it. And just the fact that there was 15, 18 seconds on the play clock and Brady's
Yeah.
like, they have 12 men. You got to call timeout. Like,
Call
so
them out, calm down.
it was probably his best game, but the fact that he can't mention the offensive coordinator.
But I don't understand. Like, so Mike Florio, as I think, is the one who's making the biggest deal out of this. He said Aaron Glenn's name like 25 times.
No, Florio is making a
know,
big
it's
deal out
pretty
of a Tom
wild.
Brady thing. I don't take your
I
word
will
for
say
it.
that I kind of love Florio picking at the Belichick situation as much as he is. Like, I just think that it's funny that he keeps being like, Belichick, NFL coaching, blah, 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 and the Lombardi responses that are getting quicker and quicker. But I don't understand why Brady didn't say his name because, like I said, he said Aaron Glenn's name like 52 times during that game. Did he think he wasn't allowed to say Ben Johnson? Correct me if I'm wrong. They interviewed Glenn too, right?
I have an easy answer. It's just that he wanted to hire Ben Johnson. And if they hired him, he didn't want to become the source of some sort of punishment to the Raiders where they get fined $10 million for like unheard of tampering in a game. So I don't know.
No, come on.
That would be
The
my
league
guess.
never punishes Tom Brady for
Right. I'm sure
small infractions. That's
now
never happened before.
I don't think someone like Mark Davis would be on him for that, but I'm sure there's someone sort of competent in the Raiders front office executive board that was like, we want to hire this guy. If you talk him up on the broadcast and then we hire him, it's going to look bad. So I'm guessing that's it.
I kind of like the idea of him not talking him up just in case the other teams that wanted to hire him were listening. And they were like,
well, Tom Brady
hasn't
did
said
the
his
same
name
thing.
once. This guy must suck.
Yeah, but anyways, you had the 12 men on the field as Aaron Glenn's final act with the Lions, and you had Jamison Williams throwing an interception for no reason as Ben Johnson's final play. So, I mean, talk about a way to go out for the two highly coveted assistants that will get head coaching. Like, those are boners, like just absolute boners, and someone's going to hire those guys. I mean, someone already did. Chicago's got them. So,
That
at one
for
play
Glenn
doesn't make a
especially,
coach,
like
but
that game does not look good on a resume.
That's a fair take. What was it, first or second down when Jamison Williams did that?
No, absolutely. Like that was definitely bad too, but
I think it was 2nd and 10. It's just like, just throw it away. Just don't.
that was the most points the Commanders have scored all season, and it was against your team in the divisional playoff run. Like he'll still get a head coaching job, and like obviously he's done more than that game. Like he's a good coach and everything like
Of
that.
course, but
It's
4th and 2, 12 men on the field. Just
yeah.
never had a chance. It's just, I don't know. That's shocking. So I don't know. Where's Aaron Glenn going to go? Jets?
Jets or Saints seems like.
All right. Well, good
And
luck.
then beyond that, like I don't know. I do think the Patriots are going to come out of this head coaching cycle looking very good. Because like not only did they get their hire out of the way very quickly, but like after Vrabel, Johnson, and Glenn are off the board, and then there's what 3 other teams that need to hire head coaches, and they're like, what about Mike McCarthy? What about Pete Carroll? Maybe we
Yeah.
could. Hey Bill, have you signed that contract yet? Like, can we?
Yeah. So what do you got? You got Dallas is the biggest one. The Jets,
Someone,
the Jags.
I forgot who it was. Someone mentioned Brian Schottenheimer as a candidate for the Cowboys job.
I think he might be the betting favorite. I think I saw that tweet.
I mean, Kellen Moore alone and Jason Witten were like, why did they fire McCarthy if those are their best options? But then, like, you put Brian Schottenheimer in there. If they were going to hire Deion Sanders or Bill Belichick, it would be understandable.
Right.
But it seems like they're just like, all right, let's fire McCarthy. Like, who's the closest guy? Who's the easiest guy? Who can we call up? Who do we know?
They've done
And
that
like, obviously, the
before.
Patriots did that to some degree as well. But like, at least Vrabel had success with the Titans. Like, I don't know. It seems a little wild.
Like, I feel as though, and I was young, but the switch from Jimmy Johnson to Barry Switzer felt like flying by the seat of your pants. But there was the 3 years of Dave Campo, which was like, what's going on there? And then remember how weird the Wade Phillips hiring was. Like, Jerry doesn't necessarily plan out his things, but it's got to
Garrett
be.
was there for how long? Like 10 years?
Long time. It's got to be Bill. Like, how great would that be? Can it just be like, imagine the tweet hits, the Schefter tweet hits. I don't get many jolts anymore these days.
Yeah.
Like, remember when Twitter was at its peak, man, and you get that tweet and you're like, oh, like, I would say the Antonio Brown signing day.
Yeah.
That was like a what in the, okay, we're working. I think the Belichick tweet, shocking news, Belichick, like, that's what we want. Just all I want is to be entertained. I don't really care about anything else,
I think it'll be fun. It would be very fun. But we'll see if it happens.
My other thought, I watched the entire game yesterday. Eagles played a football game, and I watched every second of it, and I'm trying to think of who they played. So that's where my brain's at on a sick weekend.
The Eagles played the Rams.
Allegedly.
Saquon Barkley had a bunch of yards.
Jalen Hurts got twisted. It's concerning.
I
don't know. That'll be. I'll watch both games.
If that game wasn't in the snow, Rams might have won that game.
I've never seen, Doug, two teams react and respond to snow worse than the Eagles and Rams did. Like, and there was a lot of debates on Twitter. Like, is snow football actually good? It's like, not when these two teams act like they're playing on a sheet of ice.
Right.
Like, you can still play. Like, we watched in Buffalo. I mean, it wasn't as much snow, but like, you can still play football. You put more spikes in, you get more footing. I know it was natural versus artificial, but they responded so poorly to that. Like, and it wasn't just the drops; it was just the footing, it was the running, and it was like, man, anyone can win this game. No one knows what they're doing.
Matthew Stafford, I think, just dropped the ball basically.
When was that?
I think he
Oh, yeah,
did.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And this time
It's
it wasn't ruled an incompletion.
very good.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was like I guess we take it for granted watching the Patriots play in the snow throughout.
Yeah.
Like you can watch the Snow Bowl when it was an actual blizzard, and there was some tough footing in that game, but the teams adapted. Like they did the
Yeah.
best they could. These teams were just like, I don't know, well, it's out of our hands. So disappointing in that.
I'm gonna look up a tweet real quick.
Okay, I would
But
say it was an aesthetically pleasing day of football. Like it was a treat to sit down and watch it all.
yeah. I don't think I'm gonna find it in time. Someone out there ranked like the top 25 divisional round games or something. I had never even seen this account before. For all I know, it's like a troll account who's doing this just for engagement, whatever it was. But the I think the Patriots Ravens one was like 17th or something, which I was like, whoa, that is low for a game in which the Patriots trailed by double digits twice and still won the game. And I believe the Snow Bowl was 10th. So these rankings were pretty wild, I would say.
There's just an anti-patriot bias. I don't know what to tell you. Just think about if the Chiefs were in there. Everyone in New England would be like, enough already. So,
That is true. But those are like two of the greatest games of all time. And I was like, I don't think
yeah,
there's 16 better divisional round games than that one.
the Ravens game, they were down 14 points twice and then down 3 after the second
Yeah.
comeback too. It was
Yeah.
bananas. And then they needed a Duron Harmon pick to prevent a loss at the end because they were only up 4. That game
It's
was
true.
nuts. Like
It
Brady
was
scored too
bananas.
fast.
Let's talk
But
real
yeah,
quick about the NFL draft.
the
Because
what?
I recently did a mock draft and I wanted to talk about it a little bit just because for people who don't care about coaching changes, playoffs, all that kind of stuff, I'm sure they care about the draft. I think the Patriots are in kind of a tough situation with the 4th overall pick. And I think that a lot of people know that. But for you personally, Ted McMillan is a wide receiver, not necessarily worth the top 5 pick. But the Patriots have a major need there. 2 offensive tackles, Calvin Banks and Will Campbell, obviously a position of need. Maybe those guys aren't worth top 5 picks. I know we've talked about this before, but like, so do you take one of those guys or do you go off the board and take the pass rusher, the cornerback, Travis Hunter if he's there? What exactly, like Mason Graham, the defensive tackle? Where are you with offensive tackle, wide receiver, other need with the top 4 pick? And let's factor in free agency here as well, because what I wound up doing was I took Will Campbell
Uh-huh.
just because, like, I'm not convinced that you can find a franchise left tackle in free agency.
You
So I
can't.
feel like if you're just like signing a Alaric Jackson or Jedrick Wills or like Ronnie Stanley, it seems like you're going to be replacing that guy every 2 to 3 years, maybe, or maybe they don't work out, whatever it is. Maybe they get injured. There is still a part of me that's like, if you think that guy can be a left tackle for the next 10 years, even if you're reaching a little bit, might still be worth taking him.
Yes. So I don't want to sound wishy-washy. But I think
You are
there
the
are
wishiest, washiest guy. I know.
I wished upon a star would be ED. Some people would just say I wish upon a star. I think there's 2 right paths in this. If you go tackle or if you take Abdul Carter, I'm good with either. I
Yep.
just think we've talked about it before. The days of a player like Abdul Carter being a luxury are over. With the passing league, you need someone who can harass the quarterback as much as possible, at least every
Yep.
third down, but likely more than that. You need someone who's just sort of freakishly athletic, long, strong, fast. He looks like Micah Parsons. I know that the jersey and the helmet
Mhm.
contributes to that, but he just if you go that way, I don't have a problem with it. But I do have the same philosophy with you. You can't get a good offensive tackle in free agency. Usually, I know Ronnie Stanley will be
Right.
there, but it's teams don't let those
Well,
guys
we
hit the
don't know that he'll
market.
be there too, because like
Right.
the Ravens could just resign him. Same thing
Teams
with Alaric Jackson.
teams don't let unless the money doesn't work and there's cap considerations and all that, then that's how those guys spring free. And then you're paying, I don't know, 25 million a year for him. And then it becomes
Right.
an issue elsewhere. Whereas it's not as though it's easy to get a receiver. in free agency, but it is easier. And you can get guys that
Right.
are at different tiers that can help you in different ways. I know T. Higgins is going to be the prize.
Yeah.
Who knows what type of appeal? Maybe Drake May appeals to more people. I just think, and plus, every year an elite wide receiver seems to spring free via trade, whether it's Tyreek Hill
Right.
or Stephon Diggs. Like we've seen it so many
And
times
like
over the
Tyreek Hill
years.
could now,
Well,
not that you necessarily want him, but DK Metcalf, another guy who's been
right.
rumored for
There
trades.
seem there seems to be like a
AJ
Pro
Brown.
Bowl second team All Pro type receiver
Right.
that gets traded every year or two.
Yeah.
So I'm not that I'm less concerned about if I'm building a team. Like I can try to address that need via trade or free agency more easily than I would be able to find a left tackle. Like that's just
Yeah.
you've seen it for 2 years. Like if you don't have the tackles, you can't just create them. You can't just
Yeah.
pick up guys off a waiver wire and start them. It's not going to work. So it is I think as much as we recognize the importance of it, I don't think people understand like the rarity of being 6'6", 320 and have the feet of a ballerina and
Yeah.
the strength of a power lifter and then there's the mental like there's so much to that position that makes like I don't think there's 32 starting caliber left tackles in the NFL.
Right. Yeah.
So
I mean, I
if you
think Bill
think one
Belichick has said, like, those guys just don't grow on trees,
right,
like
so if you
it's
think
hard to
that
find.
guy is there and you take him, go for it. And based on Vrabel's introductory press conference, I wouldn't
Yeah.
shock me at all if that's where he goes. And who knows? Carter might not be there at 4. We don't
He might not be, and
necessarily.
Travis Hunter might not be there for, like, one of those. Yeah, who knows what the teams above them do. I would also say, and maybe this is worth some sort of, like, statistical analysis, it does feel like it's been easier to hit on a wide receiver in the second or third round throughout the league. I'm not talking about the Patriots here clearly, than it is on like a left tackle in the second or third round. Like
Yeah, I
look at
mean,
AJ Brown.
Patriots,
AJ Brown was a second round pick. Terry
Terry
McLaurin was a third
McLaurin.
round pick. There's guys who fall into the end of the first round that maybe you could trade up for. Like Amon-Ra St. Brown was like a fourth round pick. Teams are able to find those guys. Like Puka Nacua was what, a fifth round pick. Cooper Kupp was pretty low down there.
I'm just looking it up. Terry McLaurin, help me if I'm wrong. It was 2019. He was a third round. There was no receivers taken before him, right?
Oh no, definitely
In
not.
that draft,
No,
he was the
especially
first
not
one.
especially not in the first round. No, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I was just making sure. That
Well, I mean, there's 3 guys that we've mentioned right now. The Patriots took N'Keal Harry over, and that is Terry McLaurin, N'Keal Harry, and DK Metcalf, and AJ Brown, all in
yeah.
the second and third round that year.
Interesting. That's fun fact. People should know that more. I don't know. That's a very interesting one. But
Yeah,
yeah, and it's not like that stuff is easy and just happens, but it does happen more often. Now, Patriots wise, Volmer was a second round pick. No, but we're talking ancient history now.
I was talking a right tackle. Yeah, yeah.
Light was a first round pick way back when we're talking 24 years ago. So was he the first or second, Matt Light?
Second round pick.
Okay. Well, close enough. It's just
I think in the 4 teams that just played, the only like good first round pick wide receiver was Devontae Smith, right? I guess Xavier Worthy, but he's not like he hasn't amounted to that yet.
Doug,
I don't
I'm
think
trying to remember who played this weekend, and you're throwing
Nico
these.
Collins was like a second or third round pick. I would also say, like, obviously, ideally, you would like to have a very good wide receiver on your team. And certainly not
Yeah,
saying that Drake May can become Josh Allen, but like, look at who Josh Allen is throwing to right now and tell me that you need to overdraft Ted McMillan in the first round. I don't
right?
know. I don't know.
Yeah. Amon-Ra St. Brown was
Fourth or
fourth
fifth.
round pick. There's a good
Yep.
one for you. Add that to your list. So if you did say him
I
already,
actually already mentioned him. You just weren't listening.
I wasn't listening. So I don't know what to tell you. He's the guy that my mind went to maybe at the same time you said it. It's funny how that works. But
Rashad Bateman was a first round pick, but like he's not great,
caught two deep balls. Caught 2 deep balls. Looked pretty good. Caught him like this. I want to say caught him like Jerry Rice. Oh, we should say for anyone listening,
Maybe.
Doug was putting his hands like over his
Oh
shoulder.
yeah. Oh
Catching it
man,
like a
sorry.
basket.
Yeah.
Jeez. Half hour later, when Jerry Rice said to catch it, it's not hands in front of you. It was catch it like a basket over your shoulder.
Sometimes I forget that we're not YouTube stars, that we're also an audio medium.
Right. I'm trying to be like the Rizzler.
So
yeah,
I just demonstrated what the Rizzler did.
This is a good
Um,
podcast.
so there's 2 top 10 picks this year, both named Will. What happened to Bills? Why can't it be Bill Campbell? Why can't it be Bill Johnson?
Billy,
Yeah.
that's fair.
Not a lot of Bills out there anymore. I think someone did some research and said there's no Bills in the NFL.
Really? Because there
Yeah.
was Bill Murray for a while.
Oh, he might be the only one. Yeah.
I don't know if he's still in the league. I don't know.
I think he was. I think he was with the Bears. But yeah, no. It's a good point.
Huh.
Bill
All
Murray
right.
might be the last
Not a lot
one.
of
The
Michaels
last Bill.
anymore. When I was growing up, Doug, there was like 4 Michaels in every class I was ever in. We had to be Michael H, Michael M, Michael G. My wife taught first grade for 12 years, longer. I don't know. One Michael the whole time.
Really?
So we are being phased out to your, I don't know, whatever kids are named these days. Zap,
I think half of the friends I've ever had in my life were either
Lightning,
named
Storm.
Michael or Matthew.
I'm just naming American Gladiators if that wasn't clear. But yeah, not. If you look at my phone book, there's like 80 Michaels. It was very unoriginal in the 80s, but yeah, we're being phased out.
Of the 6 to 7 people I text the most, 3 are Michaels.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Most popular boy names of 2010s. Were we going to get like Brennan?
Get a lot of
Noah,
Jadens,
Liam, Jacob. You ready for number 4? William.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So maybe Bill's coming back.
Mason, Ethan, Michael, fake news, Alexander, James, Elijah. So I don't know. We got toilet paper facts, we got verb tense usage, and we've got the top names of the 2010s, which I don't agree with.
I think we nailed it. And then yeah, we talked about free agency a little bit. I teased it, but yeah, I don't know. If you can get a Eric Jackson, Ronnie Stanley, one of these guys, like it's fine, but I would just feel a little bit more confident taking a guy in the first round, plugging him in there, hoping he can play for the next 10 years, protecting Drake May.
Ask you a
If
question.
not, we'll see. Yeah, what?
I can ask you a question because everyone says you need 2 tackles.
Yeah.
And when you're just not going to do that anymore? Because it's like
they're
paying them all that.
I think it depends on who the new offensive coordinator and offensive line coach is, because last year the Patriots front office preferred Owenu at tackle, or
Well,
like signed him being like he can play tackle, but then the coaches immediately preferred him at guard and thought that he was better at guard. So that's, I think, why he was moving around so much. That's why he played guard almost throughout the entire summer. But then they needed him to play tackle, which is why he played tackle early in the season. But they wanted him at guard. So that's why midway through the season, he just became a guard.
It's
tough to have to move him around a lot, but it's easier to find a guard than it is a tackle. And you got Michael Owenu on your roster already. Speaking of Michaels.
I mean, if you can draft a starting left tackle, if you could draft a tackle who could start at right tackle and then sign someone like Ronnie Stanley,
right?
And then you have a pretty good line just like that, instant, overnight, and then you can run an actual offense, unlike this year when it was Drake May running for his life half the time. So I think that's the most important thing, and I think Mike Vrabel does too. I think another Mike is of a like mind in that. How many times did he talk about it during like a press conference? You don't have to get into the specifics of roster building, but he mentioned protecting the quarterback at least twice in a big way. So I'm guessing, strap in, get ready to watch the draft April 30th or whenever the hell it might be. Wait your 45 minutes for the Patriots to pick and expect alignment and expect highlight films.
Yeah.
Hands, legs, footwork.
Can't wait to break them down with Andrew Callahan during the pre-draft process, and I don't know, we'll see. But
do you know something about me?
What was that?
It differentiates me from most football fans. I hate the draft. I hate the whole lead up.
So interesting.
There's probably some really good stuff out there, but there's just so much not good stuff out there it sends me to a different place. So I'm not a big draft Nick. I'll follow it. I'll read it. I'll do my homework, but I don't enjoy it. It's not. And the fact that I covered the Patriots for so long made it so much easier because they were never picking anyone that was of great substance high in the first round. Who was was it Gerard Mayo until a couple of years ago?
Yeah.
Until Mac Jones at 15.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was it worked out for me. I don't enjoy the new normal.
AJ Brown, think they'll trade for him?
Yep. Got him. Trade for AJ Brown.
Vrabel said that he still has a really, really strong relationship with AJ Brown, which I thought was very interesting.
Maybe he's the all-pro that springs loose via trade this year. And I like AJ Brown. I know.
I think AJ Brown's very good. I would say if I'm the Eagles, I don't trade AJ Brown.
What if you get a second round pick? What is it? 35, 34? Where are they?
38,
36?
I think.
It's a pretty good pick.
It's a pretty good pick. They might depend. To eat a lot of cap space to do that.
Let's say the Eagles go to the Super Bowl and win it. Let's say the Eagles host the NFC Championship game and lose it. Like, they're going to enter their offseason in either misery or ecstasy. So I don't know that we're going to speculate on that right now. But let's say they lose next week. Maybe they do want to make some big changes, you know?
Yeah. I think their offense is really built around just like having those three guys. But maybe Saquon Barkley changes that. Maybe they're like, maybe we don't need two wide receivers now that we've got Barkley to run for 2,000 yards. Not enough mouths to feed. So maybe, yeah, it's possible.
Well, if John Harbaugh were coaching the Eagles, he would have only given Saquon 16 carries and seen what happens. That pissed me off so much. It's like the typical, like, I got to show how smart I am. They think I'm going to give it to Derrick Henry. Watch this. It's like, yeah, let's watch this. Clown.
Almost everyone's going to be listening to this after the game, but who do you have in tonight's national championship game?
Well, I am the foremost college football expert, as stated by my zeal.
Draft. You might not be a draft Nick, but you are a college football Mike.
Yeah, it's a big part of me. I think Ohio State has clearly been just a monster team and will probably roll through Notre Dame, but I hope not. I remember, what was it now? 12, 13 years ago, watching Notre Dame make it to a national championship game and shutting it off in the second quarter because they were losing by 50. So I just hope it's better than that. How about you, Doug?
First of all, I'm going to say that I'm glad this game starts at 7:30. I was not actually aware of that. But thank God, because college football games are like 4 hours long. So if they started at 8:30, it would be the dead of night and we'd still be watching it. Among my favorite coworkers at PFF, Anthony Tresh, works for Notre Dame. He's that guy that's standing behind Marcus Freeman that Marcus Freeman looks at and asks him whether to do something or not. And
I've seen him.
And then Marcus Freeman does it. He's
was
like,
that when they did they do like the run the punt team off?
I think so. Yeah.
I think he was the guy.
That was a Tresh move. Tresh was hilarious. He was a great coworker. So I'm cheering for Notre Dame. I've never been a Notre Dame guy. I don't know if I've ever cheered for Notre Dame another season in my life, but this year, all aboard the Notre Dame train. Go Tresh. Go.
How old were you when you moved to Massachusetts?
I was 11 years old.
Okay, because I was probably 9 or 10 when I got a Notre Dame starter jacket. Probably couldn't tell you anything about Notre Dame at the time. I don't know how it became my jacket, but that was a big part of my identity growing up. But I never had the Notre Dame connect. A lot of people, I don't.
Are you?
My name is Irish. I wouldn't say I'm a little Irish. I'm more Italian. As me and my cousin Frank Perino will tell you, the strength coach.
Well, wait, you're from Massachusetts and you're Irish and Italian?
Can you believe that?
Wild.
They should do cheers when I score touchdowns. I'm the first Italian person that's ever come into the universe. But yeah, no, there's definitely a Massachusetts connection. I guess it's just the Irish thing and putting up your dukes. People fighting Irish. So I don't know. I've never been that level, but I will be tonight just because why not? I don't want it. Ohio State's won. We've seen it. I like variety. I guess that's what we've learned about me. I want someone else. I want someone else to win the Super Bowl. I want someone else to win the national championship.
There we go. A couple of the Notre Dame fans here on the podcast. Well, you guys will know before you listen probably who's going to win. If they started listening right now, the game would, So here's what it is. We'll talk to you guys later. When we know an OC, when we know a DC, we'll probably get back on here on the old Pat's Chat podcast and gab again. So
we'll probably power rank the Newfound Glory albums at some point, which was the genesis of the rebirth of this podcast.
It's true. On my way home from the Cape, because I was down the Cape this weekend, I listened to Blink-182's Cheshire Cat, the album in full. I'm gonna say, it's good, it's decent, it is what it is. I don't know if I ever have to listen to the entire album all the way through again.
That's correct.
There's some good hits on there. Carousel, Peggy Sue,
So I have a
Wasting
take on that.
time.
I
Yeah.
recently was listening. I had my music on shuffle, and Peggy Sue came on, and I have a take on that. It might be the best song that sounds like absolute crap. Like that
Yeah.
song was recorded using like a Walkman,
Right.
and it's a great song.
Yeah.
But boy, it's not. So I looked it up. They recorded a bunch of that album live because they only had
Mm.
like 10 minutes of studio time. So it just turned out awful. And it's like they had to redo a lot of parts after the fact. And it was like,
Yeah.
no kidding, because it sounded like complete ass. So if you listen to that, like
Yeah.
the bass is completely drowned out. There's no bass in that song except for when
Yeah.
the guitar cuts out. The
Right.
guitar tone is like foggy, buzzy. The drums sound like total trash. Like there's no depth. And granted, that's a punk rock album in the 90s.
Right.
But boy, does it could sound better, especially now knowing that they're like, production, big
I mean, the
production.
way to listen to that song is probably off the live album. That's probably
Yeah,
the
it sounds great
better
on
way to listen to that song. But yeah, there's like 5 to 6 songs, maybe 4 to 5, whatever it is, 4 to 6 songs that like I'll throw on playlists again or whatever. But
You don't need like
I'm
Benoit balls or like
yeah, I don't know if I need like I mean by the end with just about done and depends, I was like, I gotta just turn this off like halfway
yeah.
through.
I think
Depends.
you reach a certain point. There's even like strings is a tough listen.
Yeah.
But
It's it's
it's
it's still absolutely listenable. It
yeah.
was I enjoyed listening to it. I don't know if I need to do it again. But whereas like Dude Ranch, great all the way through. Enema, good all the way through.
Dude Ranch, they
For
had
me, then it goes downhill after that, but I know
not for me. I
others
listen
disagree.
to my 7-year-old daughter has incidentally become a huge Blink-182 fan,
That's
which
awesome.
is difficult to navigate because there's a lot of songs I would rather she not listen. So I find these
You gotta throw
clean
the
playlists.
live album on for her and then just like, yeah,
I was
just deal
showing
with
her
the
videos
consequences.
from the concert, and I was like, "We're gonna skip that one. We're gonna skip that one." But like,
Better
there's
watch the
clean.
Urethra Chronicles. Yeah.
Yeah, it's. I didn't intend for it, but she said to me the other night, she goes, "Dad, Blink-182 is just like the beats are so good." And I was like, "What do you mean the beats?" She's like, "Just like not the words, like the sound, like it's just so good." I'm like, "You're goddamn right, and
It's
you're not
true.
wrong."
Very true. You got a punk rock daughter. My Olivia not quite as much, but
Well,
yeah.
she's Taylor Swift as well. She's
Yeah.
she's well versed, so she's prepared for
She's
it all.
versatility. That's good. All right. We will talk to you guys later. Comment, subscribe, rate, review, do all those fun things. And we will be back this week. Goodbye.